Yeah, no, I know. The problem with options, day trading options is really difficult. Especially, first of all, you need liquid names, right? Because the spread will kill you. And, stop losses on options, easier said than done. I don't know how people consistently can put a stop loss on an option. So, but I've been, like I told you guys, well, some of you may be new. I've been an equity guy my whole career. Yeah, stop loss is zero. That's the way to do it, Fred. That's the way to do it. I've been an equity guy my whole career, so I'm a lot more comfortable with playing equity. I've really taken a liking to swinging positions in calls over the years. What time do we got here? Oh, shoot, 4:17. All right, let's get rolling. Where should we start off? Again, I got to keep in mind, I'm not just talking to members here, so I want to get everybody caught up to date. Last we spoke, okay, we were talking about the consolidation phase we've been in, right? Game plan for the most part was to try to utilize short-term sentiment and buy off of that. That's usually going to come towards the lower end of the range. So last week was probably around here, and we were talking about how we probably going to look for entries on any longs into any further weakness, right? And then, obviously we've had a really strong push, especially NASDAQ. NASDAQ is just, and some of these stocks are in a league of their own, It's a whole different ball game in NASDAQ. All right, so you don't really have much of a consolidation there. You got that higher low scenario and a little runaway here. So, I mean, where I think we're at now, coming into today, we had some heat short term as far as sentiment is concerned, and I got everything. I'm well prepared today to show you guys. All right, so this is the webinar paraphernalia. So yeah, we had, you got the put the call indicator, which gets hot on every run up, was getting down close to where things got a little dicey last go around, right, into these highs. Again, just because of the consecutive up days, the amount of action in the option market because of retail and the degenerate gambler involved. So these things can happen quick, right? So you had, a couple nice spikes, which were right into the lows, basically, of this consolidation. And then, we're getting down a little too close to comfort, signaling a little heat. But, as I've been stressing to a lot of Steam Room members, you really don't want to get too hung up on that. You really don't want to get too hung up on it. In other words, you don't want to build that heavy of a bias that it's going to linger. It's short-term sentiment. It can get washed out. In all likelihood, some of our main indicators, right, the squeezometer and probably our tactical sentiment at the end of the day when it updates is going to be washed out nicely. All right, so it got more than likely got the job done there. And, if we see a little follow through of weakness tomorrow, the next day, this put the call, you'll see it start to elevate in no time. So you don't want to get too hung up, and just understand it's really, extreme short-term readings. All right. So you had some heat. This too, daily sentiment index. All right. NASDAQ 93% bulls, S&P 91% bulls. I've seen markets rally through that. But when you got it lining up with a sell signal on the tactical sentiment, to put the call, all that stuff, just signaling you got some heat out there, all right? And it's not everything, right? It's not everything that's scorching hot, but as a whole, you're seeing it in some of these readings, all right? Here's another one out of Goldman that I like. This is their momentum and risk appetite indicator. It's built in one. The light blue is a momentum indicator, and you can see up here would be people are too bullish, right? So momentum up there in the sell zone down here would be extremely bearish. But you can see like risk appetite, and nowhere near where that momentum reading is. All right, so it's short-term heat, and whenever we get some short-term heat, we get lucky enough that we get a wash that following session. You can't ask for anything more. You can't ask for anything more, because sometimes they continue to creep up through these hot readings, and then you're kind of handcuffed. All right, but as a whole, big picture wise, everything is still pretty much right where it's been. There's not much change, maybe very little change, if that, off this recent rally of a couple days. This updates every Tuesday, so it's been pretty cool. I could share it with you guys on a Tuesday. All right, again, you're looking at the dark blue diamond. That's the current reading. All right, and for the most part, this up. So these indicators up are short-term readings, right? Momentum we just saw. Okay, so that's telling you that players are positioning on the bullish side. All right, we're looking at this through a contrarian view. All right, but as we've been talking about, as you get further down in this chart, right, it's more of position sentiment, right? Money that can't be as tactical, right? They got to have conviction when they go in, right? And a lot of this stuff is known to nail bottoms. I'm not going to say nail tops, but around the tops of the market, the highs of the market, right, where a trend starts to get tired. Usually you see these blue diamonds on this side of the board. Okay, so we're not, obviously. Okay, we're not. We actually had bullish signals a couple of weeks back. All right, flashing bullish signals off this little consolidation period we've been going through. And my opinion, I'm biased, but I think that was at least part of the catalyst to, us coming out of a little bit of a pull here. All right, so let's look at some of the key ones that has us leaning bullish, especially into weakness until this information changes. This is just an average percentile of all the indicators we looked at down here. And usually near the highs of the market would be up here where a trend starts to stall. So let's look. Okay, let's start with Sharpies, right? Sharpies trimmed a little bit of a massive long position in index futures, trimmed a little piece of it. But more importantly, the riffraff, right? And this is delayed info. Okay, so this updates every Tuesday. You had the freaking 4th of July holiday, threw a monkey wrench into things. But the riffraff, right, the spec money, us in the futures, in the futures market, contract-wise, all in short. Okay, and you can see here, you see how that was near right before this rally, pretty much. Okay, so they were slamming on the gas back short. If you remember the last time we were talking about it, right, was into the highs, coincidentally, where they covered their shorts, right? They got a little pullback and consolidation, and they decided to slam on the gas and put back on their shorts. Okay, so they just got run over. All right. But that's, it's quite notable that still Sharpies have a pretty large long position in index futures, and you got the spec money continues to lean short side into any little breather or weakness. Okay, I'll leave that for last. Fund flows, again, if you're going to see that euphoria or that bullish behavior, which usually signals a top that everybody's in the pool, as the saying goes, you don't see money coming out of equities, right? And that's been the case now the past 3 weeks, the last 2 being decent sized yanks. All right, weekly equity flows. Hence why there's such still a ridiculously large cash position in money markets. What else we got? And then this, right? So this is, we call it tweeps, right? It's not the most worthy of indicators, but alongside everything else, it fits in well, right? Hence the clown here. But you could see they're hovering around bearish behavior throughout this whole entire rally, right? At times, thinking Armageddon is on the horizon. And then they get run over and, kind of floats back down to neutral. All right. But every little breather, every little dip, part of the riffraff club is trying to catch that short, not trying to catch the long, trying to catch the short. Okay. So that's significant. Hedge funds. We were talking about how they've covered shorts, right? They've been short throughout this whole entire rally, literally the whole entire rally. They finally have covered those shorts and have dipped their beak on the long side, okay? So they are technically net long as of the last update, but not by a whole lot. All right. And that's, the buy the dip, you get, these, whatever you guys call them, the memes and the GIFs on Twitter, they get a kick out of it, buy the dip, buy the dip. The reason there is that buy the dip, there's reasoning behind buy the dip, is that there's so much cash on the sidelines that needs to get into equities that are going to look to take advantage of every little dip. That's that buy the dip mentality. Buy the dip disappears when that cash is invested, right? Then you don't have buy the dip anymore. There's no money there to buy the dip. All right. So what we would like to see, okay, out of this, we would love to see them get excited about the short side again. That would be incredible because the likelihood is we have more to go this rally. All right, but what a lot of people are keeping an eye on here is this thing to start accelerating to the upside, and that in all likelihood should have a pretty decent impact on price action. All right, if we start to see this thing accelerate to the upside and the price action is sluggish to the upside, that could be a warning sign in itself. All right, because they're moving around some big money, and it should have a pretty big impact as far as on upside price action. Okay, if not, that tells us that whether it's sharp money who's been in the whole way or whoever it is out there, there's a larger force selling into that buying, and that could be a dangerous thing. All right, so a couple things to keep an eye on here. All right. A lot of people get excited about the melt up. The melt up doesn't excite me. All right. Like the last couple of days, it's been melt up-ish. And for me, that's not where I make my money. I make my money off consolidation and pullbacks when these guys refuse to get involved, right? Because I know that's underneath as support. Okay, the melt up is like you're chasing Microsoft, you're chasing Apple, and you're waiting for the music to stop. You really don't want to be juggling positions around that. You want to tactically trade off that. And as you can see, the hedge fund readings that we've been looking at are slightly net long, right? That doesn't mean that they own one stock and are short everything else. Okay, as a whole, net, they're slightly long. What they've been buying and what they own, you can see pretty crystal clear out there, right? In the price action. I mean, you see names like Apple just chugging along every single day. These new economy names that just they don't stop, right? The Teledocs of the world. These things are just unconscious, okay? That's what they've been buying, and they've been shorting a lot of everything else, including SPY. All right, the maximum pain trade for that crowd would be rotation. But, you know, right now, especially with earnings, that's not going to happen, and we continue to see no signs of that. But that's a whole other topic of conversation, all right? But you can see already the effect, right, that chasers are having in some of these things. Like right now, they've been chasing, Amazons, NVIDIAs, all the big guys. And right now they're chasing those things because of earnings. They need earnings exposure, right? So they're going to chase those names into earnings. And then we're going to get some more of the true colors post earnings, right? The sell on the news. Is there any buying into that? We're going to get more of a clearer picture in a lot of these things once these things announce. All right, but from now till probably when Netflix reports, you'll likely see a pretty strong bid in these things. There could be pullbacks, right? Because some of these things just, like look at even Tesla. We would talk about earnings run up. It did it in less than a week, right? So there could be 1-2 day pulls, and they could be vicious, but chances are there's going to be some buying into them until these things start to report mid-July. All right, so that's something to keep an eye on as we approach earnings here. The other interesting thing I wanted to show you guys, by the way, here is another reading of hedge funds, just in case you think the other indicator is Fugazi. This is hedge funds equity beta. You could see it here at the bottom. All right, so more than likely when this rally is over, okay, not over the course of days where things consolidate, as a whole, when this trend is over, in all due likelihood, you're going to see this thing up here somewhere. Okay, usually ends with everybody in the pool, almost everybody. Something other that we've been keeping an eye on that's pretty interesting. This is Sharpie activity, Sharpie positioning in VIX futures. Okay, you've heard me mention this a few times. The reason why we're keeping a close eye on this is every time that the sharp hedgers get long index futures, right, they usually start selling their VIX position. All right, so here they got long in a big way VIX futures contracts, right? So they got long into this death where the retail spec crowd was shorting VIX. Remember? Shorting VIX and all VIX products. They were building a long position, okay? So then, boop, they catch the spike, and what they like to do is they like to sell into that strength, ultimately to get net short near the highs. Okay, that's what they usually do. You could see it, maybe this one I didn't go far back enough. You could see it a little bit over here, right? So they got long into this, and then you had a smaller spike, right? And boom, net short into the highs, okay? But you can see how this has been different. Even though they've added to their long position in index futures and haven't trimmed it much at all throughout this whole entire rally, which is extremely rare, they've actually been adding some VIX. All right. And the reason why, for one reason only, I find this interesting. Okay. Usually this is the nail in the coffin, per se. All right. When they get short, that's usually when VIX rolls completely over. And then the significance behind that, especially this go around, is you get that whole trend following CTA crowd start tripping over themselves for long exposure in equities. Okay. If you look at any CTA indicator that goes around, you see me post them from time to time, several others. Okay. They haven't participated. They haven't really got aggressive in equities. Okay. And the reason being, VIX hasn't rolled over yet. Whatever levels they're looking at or whatever other characteristics they're looking at, supposedly the reason they haven't got aggressive on the long side is solely because of where VIX trades right now in relation to the market. Okay? So once if this happens this way, we see this, they get short, and then you start to see VIX starting to roll over. That could be the catalyst for that melt up that we've been throwing around of late, right? Because that's a whole other pocket of money that doesn't give, excuse my French, but two shits what PE multiples are trading at, what virus is flying around, what anything. They're systematic and they buy and sell solely off of this stuff, right? So that's the McElliott thing that's been going around too of recent. If you saw that video or some of the Nomura posts of late, VIX rollover, and you'll get, more than likely, you'll get a nice little chase going on. All right, so that's what we're keeping an eye on here. As you noticed yesterday, the markets, we were up and VIX was up, right? So it didn't really fit into that equation of a potential melt up. For the melt up to be in play, according to that, you would need to see, VIX players completely capitulate. And I also think, again, this is just my opinion, but I also think when that does show up, you're going to see a lot more participation than just big tech and new economy names holding the market up. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. All right. Because right now, we've been discussing this. The market's been rallying and you see stocks going parabolic based off fear. Okay. That's the behavior behind this euphoric buying that's been coming into these new economy names. Okay. They're fearful of this virus lingering. That's why they're plowing into Teladoc and all these things. It's not them betting on a recovery of the economy or reflation or anything like that. You see pockets of that from time to time of good job numbers and stuff like that. And that's when you see some of these reflation names, cyclical names, act well and see buying, right? And you see it really have an impact on the overall market too. That's when you see those strong rallies. That hasn't really happened yet. Well, it hasn't happened of late yet. We had it, the last time we had it was into this Boeing where they were buying the airlines. Remember that little pocket of euphoria that was going around then? That's the last time we witnessed that reflation trade at play. So that's what's more than likely, if we do get that melt up scenario, if VIX rolls over, you're going to see a lot of other participation. More than likely you'll see probably the semis lead rather than the software names, stuff like that out of tech. All right, so that's the gist of it. That's the gist of it. That's a couple things we're keeping an eye on now. Individual names, I told you guys for probably the past, what, 2 weeks, maybe more than that, I can't keep track of time, that I'm as confused as ever in individual names. And that's still the case. Confused because we have this potential melt up on the back burner, right? But all the best sweeper activity, all the best of price action is not coming into that stuff. All right, they're plowing into the Neos of the world that today again just saw a sweeper after sweeper after sweeper nonstop. Right, the Pelotons of the world. That's where all the good-looking action's going. That's where all the good-looking action's going. And still going, and still going. So until we, until I see some signs at a flow that at least sweepers are betting on that potentially changing, even if I don't even mind if they're betting 6 months out on that changing, but we're not even seeing that. Right? We're not even seeing them take stabs in these things, get aggressive in these things with time. That, at the least, that's sometimes some of the first things you start to see. These things still look awful, but they're buying, you know what I mean? McDonald's 8 months out. We're not seeing much of any of that. All right, so maybe after post-earnings, we got a good shot of that. Because right now, no one wants to sell any of these things, these hot names, until, like I said, until earnings. Why would you? You know what I mean? Why would you? If you know that most people are scrambling into these things, right, for earnings, you're going to ride the wave. You're going to ride the wave. So again, post earnings will be a whole different ball game, and we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. So what am I doing in the meantime? I'm holding some key positions that I've been in, so I have some exposure to the market. I'm still long. I'm trading on the tactical side, mostly equity. I haven't really done anything the last couple of days, but prior to that, I've been playing some under the radar type names that catch some action and I think have some momentum. This one caught another decent sweep. I'm holding on to equity here, DOU. Some of you, I think, may be in it with me. You may be in calls, I don't know. But this is a Chinese software name. All right, and as you can see, if there's any flow that's been sticking out as well as price action, it's in these China plays. They've been unconscious. Yeah, I've been swinging DOU. I own it cheaper, and I've been holding on to it. I'm trying to give it a longer leash, see if I can get lucky because some of these China names that I'm obviously not involved in or owned once upon a time, they've just been amazing. This Billy, which I liked a lot, I had equity in and I let it go thinking it was overextended and it just keeps going. PDD is just a monster. I can't believe it. A monster. But they've even gone to the crap. Right, Momo's been seeing action, had a little squeeze here finally. Huya. So there's a lot of interest, spec interest in these China plays right now, and you have the market as a whole over there break out, which has been lagging. They've tattooed this ASHR. By the way, anytime you see these guys fooling around with ASHR, there's something on the burner, right? Every time we saw them during the trade war stuff, there was some positive trade war news. And now there's been an uptick in action, and all of a sudden, this thing moves like I've never seen it move before. I don't like to trade this ASHR because it doesn't move much. Meanwhile, look at this. So that's the story. That's the story. You know, underbelly, when you find these underbelly names like Adore You and stuff like that, you know, there's momentum there. You know what I mean? You don't want to get too crazy with these things, especially on the option side, but you can make money. Exactly. There's another one. I just slipped my mind for some reason, but they tattooed that. TME. You know, so yeah, again, I wouldn't go too crazy on these things because a lot of these options aren't too liquid. And there's momentum behind it, you know? There's just momentum behind them right now. But that's it. You know, what other names? Other names I've been fotzing around in, not really holding any swing positions, just playing here and there, fooling around with GAN. I've liked that name. I should have just bought some and left it alone. There's Bill. But, you know, even these things have climbed of late now. So I'm kind of waiting on fresh stuff. FXI, yeah, I know, right. Yeah, Baba too. You know, now you're probably going to see Baba Flow just go nuts because of earnings. You know, because of earnings. Gold, I don't own any gold. I tell you, even more than gold, because gold is just the ETF and they've been bombing it. But these gold miners have really caught some nice action. We've been talking about them, right? WPM, that one even just recently had some nice action. This one I traded. I don't have it anymore. SSRM. Caught some good-looking sweeper activity. Puff Puff Pass has always been a favorite of theirs. These things have been firm. They've been firm, especially off dips. You know, but even now, these things, right? You're chasing them now. You're chasing them, right? They caught action at lower levels, and you want to kind of catch them on a breather. There's nothing else. You know, gold is caught some more flow today, but yeah, you kind of want to look for these things off pulls and breathers. That's where you want to look for them. You know, you want to look off pulls and breathers. Not to say they can't keep going, but WPM, yeah, WPM had some nice action with a little time behind it too. But see, you had a really nice dip here, you know? Really nice pull after a screamer. And now just retracing again. Same with that other one that caught a nice sweep. That doesn't even catch much action, SSRM. But they do look good. They do look good. But that's it. That's it. And the other thing, keep in mind now, we're going to see, well, we see size action, right? You see NVIDIA catch $1 million sweeps like it's nothing. Tesla, $1 million sweeps. The thing now to keep in mind is you have earnings. All right? So you got to pay attention to these earnings dates and take some of this action with a grain of salt. But, you know, it's no change. Just you're playing them off momentum. Don't rely on the bets. That's what I mean by that. You see NVIDIA catch a $2 million sweep up here. Don't pretend like that $2 million sweep. That guy doesn't know any more than what's been going on in NVIDIA. You know, most likely it's forced buying, not because he wants to buy up here, or she. All right, especially with earnings coming up. Yeah, OSTK, like that, you know? Like OSTK today caught one of the better looking sweeps I've seen in this thing, this whole run. Caught it today, this morning. You know, it's nuts. Nuts. So there's some crazy moves out there. Crazy moves. So what else? What do you guys? Yeah, I still have my two full-size positions are well, Plan's a little bigger than my normal position, but Plan and BHC I own with time. With time. Now the rest of the stuff I own smaller and mostly equity. What are you guys looking at? Anything? Yeah, the miners look good, but they're a little they've moved already, you know? You had this other, you had the entry down here, and they've been stretching a bit. So now, you know, I don't want to chase this. You know, you're up at new highs now here. Yeah, Sono, you know, we've been talking about that name. Again, just keeps grinding higher, but keep in mind, this is already a trade and then some from where we were buying it. You know, this is the whole climbing the ladder theory. You know, it's all fine and dandy. You're going to get away with it a couple of times and make some money. Just make sure you don't get caught holding the bag of these things when the music stops. You know what I mean? Because it's not a good feeling. Not a good feeling. Roku, you know, looks good. But you know what I'm going to say. You know, off of this, you want them off dips. You don't want to chase here. Unless you're okay with sitting through breathers. You know, that's the problem. You know, if you're playing options and you're okay with sitting through this, then chase. But you can't cry the blues when you get caught in something like this because you chased. Roku had some nice action at a really nice spot. If you couldn't pull the trigger there, you got to work better on pulling the trigger at solid spots. Yeah, exactly. Spots matter. When you're playing options, spots matter more than anything. Run has been seeing flow on off for a while. They acquired a company today. That was the reason for the explosion. But there's been some nice flow in this run. Well, again, you could apply logic to, you know, buying at right spots and buying at poor spots. You know, you could see, because a lot of times you're going to have trouble pulling the trigger at the right spot, right? Down here, even off this pull, you know, not many people were feeling bullish playing a sweeper in that spot, you know, but that's a spot where you want to look for an entry if you're interested, right? You don't want to get caught all of a sudden. Now up here, you decided not to play off these, and now you're chasing Pink Panther. You know, so it's just logic. And listen, I don't expect, and nobody expects anybody to be that disciplined and that strict. But you just got to understand that you're going to get away with it when you get moves like we're seeing right now. But when you get caught with a basket of names where you chased and the music stops, every licking penny that you made chasing before that will be out the window and then some. All of it. Because when these hot names, when the premium comes out of them, there's not much left. You know, there's not much left. So that's the problem with chasing. It's not that you can't get away with it. It'd be easy if you never got away with it, because then you'd realize it's the wrong thing to do and it'd be easier to stay away. The problem is you see things continue to rally, right? I'm not going to buy this. It's an awful spot, but you'll see the thing still run right through it like it never existed. So now next time you like something at a poor spot, you're like, well, that one rallied, so I'll buy this one. And then that shits the bed. You know, net as a whole, you're going to get torched. You know, position trading, chasing. It's not a winning strategy. It's not a winning strategy. Costco, that caught a little sweep today, right? Costco looks good too. That Costco. You're chasing here a little bit, obviously, but it looked good a couple times here. We'll probably run this thing into earnings. It was a little sweep, not much action there. There's a ton of stuff that looks good out there. There's just no flow. You know, there's no flow. There's no flow. We go over it each and every webinar. There's no flow. Yeah, Boeing had a little bit of action. Nothing to get me interested. Some of it caught earnings, which is coming up July 22nd, I'm showing. You know, so you're probably going to see some more. What has me interested? Nothing. That's the problem, Steve. I'm not really interested in much. If I'm interested, I'm buying. You know, I'm buying at least even equity if I think like I need to be quick. But I haven't bought. I haven't bought anything recent that I'm holding on to. Adore you. Yeah, AMD continues to catch that weekly spec action. You know, we see that from time to time. Just can't get hot. Used to get hot in here and there, but she's just dead. Dead in a huge web of consolidation here. You got earnings coming up here too now, so will it break out before earnings? You know, but again, you know, right spots, you might have a trade there, right? Off dips. But she's been tough. It gets thrown in with the cyclicals right now. That's the problem with AMD. Where it should trade with NVIDIA, it's not. Don't ask me why. I can't make sense out of a lot of shit out there right now. You know, just like my plan. Apparently, for obvious reasons, it's not moving with software. You know, otherwise this thing would have been long gone. But considering it moves more with cyclicals, and I'm actually up on the position, I'll take it. You know what I mean? But yeah, what am I interested in? Nothing. Like, Steve, if you asked me that question last week, I would have a few names and things for you. Like, if you asked me that question last week, I would have been like, well, the semis, I really like the semis here, LRCX, off a little bit of a breather, you know, like that. Just because you're asking me the question now where, you know, we've been up 5 straight days and the stuff that's been lagging is not even catching any action. Yeah, it's spilled milk now, you know, spilled milk. Don't get me wrong, like LRCX, I like it, or breathers, I still like it. All the semis, those cyclical semi names, but this one is one of the biggest movers out there, you know, and it's been strong, right? I don't know if you guys are still in it. A couple of you were in it from over here, and she's been a nice winner, you know. Hopefully you're still holding on to some. I should talk, right? But I like the semis on dips, LRCX, Texas Instruments, NXPI, all of them. Marvell, there's been a little uptick in activity. You know, that had a little bit of a move, but maybe you get a little pull here. Yeah, Xilinx caught some action yesterday. If you get a little breather here, you know, Xilinx maybe be something you guys are interested in. Intel too. Again, it's just a matter of breathers, you know. Intel's actually a decent spot here. When's you got earnings coming up, right? See, the thing is now it doesn't, like, I think we wait on earnings, no? Unless you want to hold through. Yeah, well, that's the thing, earnings. That's the thing, earnings. You know, but as far as the market pulling back, I don't see much. Maybe we stay in a little choppy thing here until they get the rest of them to capitulate. You remember initially I was hoping we get down here somewhere and that would be it. That would be the sweet spot. But you never know, you never know. It's crazy world out there right now. Crazy world. Crazy world. Yeah, if we get just even a pull back to these neck of the woods, right? I'll tell you one thing, if there's follow through on some weakness tomorrow, we'll probably have short-term bullish sentiment signals ready for at least a snapback, But listen, considering this rally, right? And half the market, if not more, hasn't participated from this up, you're not going to have new ideas as much as you would like, That's the problem. That can change in a day, in a week. They can come in with the gloves off and start sweeping the daylights out of URI and UNP, and Caterpillar. But they haven't yet. Maybe they never do. Who the hell knows? But if they never do, we have to wait for pulls on all the hot things for tactical trades, right? That's what somebody mentioned, Pinterest. That had a nice move. And, you had opportunities in these things. It's just a matter if you wanted to take advantage of them, right? Along the way. You get opportunities off dips. If you chase this, you could get caught in this. See, me personally, the way I play, like for swings, I rather be early off a pull than late up here. You know what I mean? If I said that right. So in other words, let's say there was a sweeper here, okay? Even if this trades lower over the next couple of days, okay? Once the turn comes and I was right off that sweep, I'm going to make some money. Up here, the problem is there could be upside over the next couple of days. If I'm not taking that off the table and I get caught in this, I'm dead. And some of you are finished playing weekly and bi-weeklies. Forget it, right? So that's the problem. That's the problem. Now, if you were to tell me that these little follow-through moves based off momentum are enough for you, that's all you're looking for. Yeah, exactly, Ani. If that's more than enough and you're being quick, that's a different story, right? You're keeping your stop tight, you're looking for a quick move, that sort of thing. But I'm talking about for like positions, for positions. The spot means a lot. I like to be early into consolidation or a pullback. Plus, I'm not playing weekly, so maybe that's why I don't mind being a little early, Bank of America, these banks are, it's unbelievable. That's what I mean. There's no conviction behind any of these cyclical plays. They have no interest in them yet at all. It's really a remarkable thing. They had no interest at all. And I guess the reason why I find it so fascinating is because of the strength of the market. You know what I mean? If we were in a correction, I could understand it. But they have no interest in selling some of the hot stuff and going into some of the stuff that looks just so much better. Some people are saying these things are at buys of a lifetime. You know what I mean? Some people think it. Some people think these things are buys of a lifetime. Investments, I should say. Who the hell knows? But like most of you guys, I like to play the growth stuff. You know, I like the new. I like the new growth, new leader type stuff. I can't chase these things. I can't chase them. Yeah, like, you know, those are the new financials, right? PayPal and Square. But we're not the only ones who know that. I mean, everybody and their mother is calling them that now. That's the problem. There'll be dips, there'll be corrections, there'll be dips, there'll be sellers. Trust me. How much selling? We'll soon find out. But they don't continue like this forever. That's why earnings will probably do it. No? You guys don't think earnings is a likely catalyst? Like, in other words, I think their earnings are going to be great, but they're priced for perfection. In 2021, they are not going to do this till Q3 2021. You can put that down on paper right now. Square will be trading at $950 a share, if that was the case. Well, you got banks. So in other words, what I could see happening is, you know, maybe banks, they report their earnings, they're awful, or they're not as bad. You get a little weakness, and some buying comes into them. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. But right now, nobody wants to buy them ahead of earnings. In any big way, I should say. Right? Nobody wants to size up into these things ahead of earnings in banks. Like, the trade right now is to play the run up on these things. That's where everybody wants to show, I owned Square, I owned PayPal, I own Amazon, right? Because all the money was on the sidelines. They don't own it. So they want to show that they own it. And that's why you're getting these crazy moves. Beyond. Yeah, that looks okay. Little breather there. Little breather there. Beyond's been, you know, solid name. Solid name. I still think she has probably a big run left in her. It's a matter of, you know, how long. When's earnings? August, end of July. But yeah, I like Beyond. It's caught some real action. Disney, that's a reflation name, right? Doesn't look too bad. Looks pretty good, Carlos. It's just no buying coming in yet. But the setup is nice. It's a nice setup. Looks like all the other stuff I was showing you guys. The Caterpillar, the URI, the trannies, all that stuff. Looks good. So that's, if there's a melt up, these things have to participate. You know what I mean? They have to catch up. I don't think anybody could go to Disney World yet. But, you know, here's the thing, okay? How long is this virus going to be around for? Right? How long? It's not going to be around for 50 years without a vaccine or a therapeutic. So the market is not going to wait for the vaccine and therapeutic. Disney will start ripping 6 months at the least before that. Just like this market, right? When did this market start rallying? When New York was in Armageddon mode. And the market started rallying right through all that. So the market looks ahead. You know, we're looking at what we see in front of us. That's what everybody is looking at. The market's looking ahead. So there's going to be a therapeutic and a potential vaccine early next year. You're going to start to see these cyclicals move. And that'll probably be a good tell that there's something coming. NVAX, wait, I get them confused. NVAX, that's the animal, I know. Every time we see a good-looking sweep in this thing, I'm like, oh my God, how do you buy it here? Today, again, people were saying it in the room, up 30%. Caught a sweep, how do you buy it here? Meanwhile, the stock went from 10 to 110. INO, I know, INO. Quite a few of us own this INO, played this INO several times. Nuts. Nuts. Dr. Fauci still breathing off a niner. Dr. Fauci, calling Dr. Fauci. And this is the beast. I guess people don't talk about this name as much as you would think. You hear it, but this is just an animal, Regenerate. An animal. Talk about buying dips. You know, it's just a cash register off dips. Home builders look good, Samir, but there's no buying. I don't know why. They look good. You know, we'll see. DHI has earnings coming up, but that looks really good. You know, you got a nice run into a little niner exhaustion. Look at this breather here. Beauty, you know? That's a beauty. I'm surprised these things haven't broken out yet. But maybe it'll come. Right? Lennar reported already, I think. Same thing. Look how good that looks. Toll. They all look great. They all look great. You know, we got earnings coming up on DHI, and then they're done. Maybe we'll start to see flow. Like I said, guys, they're who? Zellman or Zell? Sam Zell? Oh, no. I think I know who you're talking about. These, yeah. These look, just like the other ones, right? Very similar. I mean, Disney maybe what? A little lower? Nah, look at that. Look at Disney and look at Toll Brothers. Okay? These things are sitting there waiting for buyers. No? Look, you wouldn't even know I changed the ticker. And that's Disney, where no one's going. Sim. Oh, yeah, that's a REIT. What is it? Mortgage REIT? I don't know too much about REITs. But yeah, it caught some action, this CIM. Couple REITs caught action. I don't know if I trust too much of it, but that's a cheapie anyway. $8 stock. Oh my God, this thing got crushed. Yeah, I was going to say AGNC. That's the other REIT that's been seeing some buying too. Yep. You guys play REITs? I don't really play them. Yeah, the REITs, they got murdered for good reason. Yeah. there's just so much, there's so many other things out there, you know what I mean, that I trust, that I know, that look just, you know, if not better than this, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to, I feel like I'm forcing shit if I'm looking to buy one of these things. But you know, I don't know the sector well or anything like that. So Apache catch and flow, but it has earnings. So, you know, unless maybe if you like the name, this is another group that I can't get behind. Some of you made some decent money in the last run up. I can't. Energy. I tell you, all my losers have come from energy. All of them. All my losers. DKNG. I think just more time you need here, Todd. Know what I mean? Time. You want to see the flow die down a little. It kind of died down, right? We're not seeing as much call buying, but you want to see it get quiet. You know what I mean? Start to die out a little bit, maybe forms some sort of bottom. And then you want to see an uptick in, I think it called put action, Todd. I could be wrong, though. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But you see, this is like a name that once it did this, I stopped paying attention. You know, it needs time now. Kind of like Fauci, we just looked at, right? Had that just ridiculous move, and you're going to go through some agita here. So it's more time than anything else. But yeah, if you're interested in the name, you know, you want to start. What am I doing? Oh, there it is. You want to start keeping an eye on it at least, especially the price action. See where she chills out a little bit. Find some buyers. What about Penn? What's that doing? Now that's in breather mode too, right? Casinos. These casinos look a little worse than the other cyclical plays. ZI. ZI? What's ZI? Not ZI. What's that? ZI. Oh, yeah, ZI. ZI. Yeah. I thought you were talking about silver. Yeah. I haven't seen any action in this thing yet. Trades options, you said too, right, you guys? ZI? I haven't seen any flow in this thing yet. That'll be a nice sign when it does. Lemonade, does that trade options too? Not yet. Oh, no options yet. SE up today? Down a little. SE, that's incredible. Umphy. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. I think there was a little sweep in Umphy today. Macy's, you had Nigerian pump it off some spec action. Oh, what was this? Hold on 1 second. Hello? Yeah, can I call you right back? This is the. Can I call you back in like 2 minutes? All right, thank you so much. Bye-bye. All right. Yeah, Umphy caught a little bit of action, but it was small sweep. Macy's, Nigerian pumped it today. There was some chatter. Amazon was interested in Macy's. Sounds like trying to squeeze some shorts to me. Amazon's interested in Macy's. What are they going to do with Macy's? Yeah, I strictly trade off sweeper activity. I don't do my own stock picking. If I did, I'd be long all this shit. Like right now, if I was doing my own stock picking, every stock we looked at, oh, DHI, that looks good, man. I'm going to buy some DHI. What else? I'd buy all these things. URI, Disney, and definitely buy some Disney. But yeah, the sweeper activity confirms, especially like the spots I like to look at, confirms, somebody who knows a lot more than I do likes the spot. So sweeper activity and sentiment are pretty much 99% of everything I do. But yeah, and it's my seatbelt, guys. You understand? Because like I'm saying here, I would be an all-out degenerate if I didn't. I'd be an all-out degenerate. So when they're like, right now, there's not any new fresh name sweeper activity. I'm not adding new names, right? Otherwise, I'd just be buying left and right like it's no tomorrow. What do I base it on? All these stocks look good to me that we're looking at. They all look good. What would I be waiting on? So nah, I don't really follow dark pool much. I look at it, but it's not actionable to me. More of an idea list sometimes. That's about it. If it catches flow. I see a name on dark pool, see some dark pool buying, and I see some flow, then maybe I become interested. But that's it. It's a big seatbelt though. When they're not sweeping any fresh names, I usually, I don't have too much new risk. I don't have any new risk on. And most pullbacks, right? They usually occur when there's not new names being bought, because the same names keep catching action, and when those same names tire out, lose momentum, they're not buying anything new. Chances are the market's going to pull back. So that's my theory. But yeah, sentiment too is a big proponent of what I do spot wise. Like if I was just going to trade the overall market, sentiment probably be my number one thing. But I like trading names too. So sweeper activity, MMM. I don't remember any sweeper activity in MMM. Anything good looking. MT had that spec action that time. Looks okay. Slow mover, really slow. There's been some slow movers that catch action on, but that also has earnings. This looks good, but we'll see. Right now, I'm looking to be patient. The first thing I'm looking for is if we get a little more weakness, we get a short-term bullish signal, I'll look to make a play on TQQQ or SPY off of that for a snapback. And then I let the flow do the talking. Not yet. I'm going to check now. I got to make a couple phone calls too here. So I'm going to run. All right. So stay patient, nice and easy. We have earnings coming up. But you guys know that melt up mode that everyone wants to get positioned for, we have some clues to look for. So that's what we're looking for right now. In the meantime, you try to play off the momentum out there, but don't overstay your welcome. That's the trick. Thank you. All right, guys, good luck the rest of the week. Stay safe. Thanks for stopping by.